Hello everyone, my name is Christian Jones Crawford, and today I'm going to be giving a little bit of a sneak peek into my upcoming video project about 6 positives and 6 negatives about coming to Kansas State University in Salina. So I just want to give a little bit of background about myself, and then I'm going to give one positive and one negative about coming here. Don't want to spoil the whole video now, but let's just get right into it. So I'm originally from the DMV area, so I grew up in Virginia, and then I spent some of my life in Maryland. And it wasn't about until my 11th grade year that I decided I wanted to become a commercial airline pilot. That's when I started researching into schools. I think the first ever school, quote unquote, I ever looked into was actually the United Aviate Academy. But, looking back on it now, going to United Aviate would have probably been cheaper than going to like a 4-year, traditional program. But then again, you don't get a degree, which is another really important factor for me, was having a bachelor's degree, a little bit of a backup plan in case, something unfortunate would happen and I wouldn't be able to fly anymore. So I definitely, that kind of ruled out United Aviate. So then it really only came down to, at the end of the day, after all the colleges I looked at, I got all the, the financial aid and everything, it came down to Ohio State University, Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in Daytona, and then Kansas State University in Salina. Now, I'm going to be honest, this is kind of poor planning on my part. I actually did not know I was going to be in Salina. I thought I was going to be in Manhattan. I didn't really read that close enough into Kansas State, but then again, I didn't think I was actually going to end up going here, so I was kind of, give your boy a little grace. But, mostly what it came down for me was, the price, because, becoming a pilot is not cheap. That's what I'm out here for. I want to become a pilot, and, it's not really cheap. So, that was the most important factor, was how much the cost, financial aid, how much scholarship money I'm getting. And then, another important factor was, how many planes do we have, because there are some schools, believe it or not, that only have 4 or 5 aircraft, and they talk about their aviation program, and it's like, really, guys? But all 3 top options had at least 30 or plus more aircraft, so that was really good, at least in my eyes. And at the end of the day, after I sat down and looked at everything, I was able to easily eliminate Embry-Riddle because that course was very expensive. And then Ohio State, it was very close, but at least for me personally, I'm a little bit more of a, I'm trying to think of the word. It's the opposite. I'm an introvert. There it is. I'm an introvert. So I don't really like talking to that many people. So for the most part, I like to I like my little small community, and that's, I think, again, to my first point about positive about this school is the small and tight knit community about being here at Kansas State. So there's no more than about, I want to say, 1,000 students on campus, and I'm sure there's probably more enrolled that aren't actually here on campus. It's mostly freshmen and sophomore I see that live on campus. But this campus is mostly focused on aviation, aerospace, and technology. So most of the students you're going to meet here are going to be other pilots, or if you're here from the maintenance department, there's going to be other people trying to get their AMPs. So it's really easy to connect with people that can help you get your next rating or get your next license. And it's really helpful, especially when aviation and becoming a mechanic are not they're not the easiest of subjects. So having that support group and that tight knit community is really helpful, because we have study halls for each respective major, and then there's a bunch of tutors here. There's always going to be help for you. And then so that's one positive I would say. And then one negative I will say, I don't want to make this too long, but one negative I will say about the school, at least for me, my biggest negative that I experience on mostly a day-to-day basis would probably be the cafeteria. And it's not even that per se the food is bad. It's just that the hours, man. The hours are kind of crazy. So just to give a little bit of a rundown, we only have one cafeteria on campus, and that's the Centennial Dining in the College Center. And their hours Monday through Friday for breakfast, I'm trying to do this off my memory, I think I want to say 7 to 10, then lunch is 11 to 2, and then dinner is 4 to 7:30, and that's Monday through Friday. And for me, growing up, I don't think I ever ate before 7:30, and I know that's not right for your body, but usually my family eat around 8. So eating at 7:30 is whoa, that's kind of crazy. But that's what it is here. And then on the weekend it's even worse, because their weekend hours, I think brunch is, I want to say 11 to 2 or 11 to 1 or no 10 to 1. I think it's 10 to 1, and then dinner service is 4:30 or I think it's 4:30 to 6. Don't quote me on that, but it's around this time. It's only there's only a 2-hour window to eat dinner, and it's what the heck, man? You're only gonna give us one spot, and then it's we have to eat very specific times. But yeah, it's just pretty bad. I don't know why the hours are very short, and it also kind of does suck that we only have one spot to eat here on campus because you're gonna get tired of the food, and then going out to eat every night and ordering DoorDash isn't really that not a very good way to live, especially financially. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. A little bit of a sneak peek. You don't want to give out too much info. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure to follow along on my journey as I talk about Kansas State University in Salina. See you next time, guys.